Good evening, Pittsburgh sports fans, and welcome to the Pittsburgh Sports Desk. We've got a full crew. We got the crew back. We got the band back. We got Ed back. We got Mac back. We got Tracy trying to get in, but he's having some technical difficulties. So pause for that. But how are we doing this evening there, gentlemen?
Doing well, sir.
Again, the hair of a frog, boys. Very, very fun.
Nice.
We got Tracy audio only, though.
Okay. Tracy, you there? Sounds like he's in a washing machine right now.
He's here.
Okay. No, he's not here. We lost him.
Ebod.
Yeah. So lots to talk about tonight, gentlemen, obviously. Big news that came over the wire yesterday. Pretty shocking. We're going to spend probably most of the show talking about this because there's a lot to unpack with that. I don't know. Were you as shocked as I was? Because I definitely was shocked that happened. I'm not upset. I think it was long overdue. I think he probably should have stepped down a few years back, if you want to really know my honest opinion. I think the way he did it was, he helped the organization out, I think. At least probably in Art Rooney's eyes, that he doesn't have to he saves face. He doesn't have to fire their coach of 19 years. But it's an end of an era. I can't say that it was in the latter part. I can't say it was a great era. I'm happy that it's over. But I got some thoughts and some comments and some points I want to make. But I want to hear from you guys first. Enough of me talking. Have at it.
Go ahead, Max. Start us off, buddy.
Well, in terms of surprise, gentlemen, I'm not really, and it kind of made it more believable when you seen Harbaugh go.
Yeah.
Made you start to think like, well, they have similar records, similar resumes. The only difference is that streak that Tomlin possesses in this playoff run, and when you own the record, with it's seven losses in a row, it's kind of a no-brainer. He owns that with the Bengals. So
yeah, how's that make you feel? I mean,
yeah, and I don't think it was necessarily bad for either party. I think it's good for Tomlin to get out of here. I don't think he was having much fun. I think it was quite obvious. I think you pinpointed it out a lot earlier in the year, Bill, in terms of the look on his face and the wear and tear that, it looked like it was taken on him. Regardless of who you are, nobody likes to be hated. And it was clear with the chants that were going through these stadiums the last half of the season at minimum, So I don't think it's a shock at all. I don't know. Go ahead, Ed. What do you say?
Well, he was going to be fired. There's no doubt about it. I got inside information. He was called into the office to talk about his assistants and how many he had to replace and what coaches, and to say that the team wanted an assistants. And he said, close to these words, I can help you there. I can stop you there because I intend on stepping down. So you can call it whatever you want. I mean, parting of ways, I think is better possibly for the organization. But I think if he was fired, it would have sent a more stern message saying to the fans, we were wrong. It should have happened a couple years ago, and it's happening now. As far as the timing of it, I mean, they have the draft coming, which I think is a little tough, without your head coach. They only have a few, the draft is in April. So you're down to the wire. You got about 3 months here to get everything situated. They tend to like younger coaches. So I would look to, the younger coaches they like, but I really think the organization needs to move away from defensive coaches. They really do. I mean,
Well,
the whole league is. I mean, we went through it.
Yeah.
It's a 4-4 split right now in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that in previous years. It's a 4-4 split now with the 8 teams that are left. But you look at Tomlin's career. Okay, 8-12 in the playoffs, so they can take the streak whatever they want. He also has another brand new streak that nobody's able to match. He has 5 playoff losses by 21 points or more. He owns that streak. Nobody else is even close to him. He owns and dominates that streak, which is unbelievable. And you look at it, you only had out of all the seasons, 13 of the seasons out of the 19, they went to the playoffs. Of those 13, only 4 times did they make it past the first round. So we can say, he's this, he's that. I tend to defer to players. And I look at James Harrison, who said, he's an okay coach. He's not a great coach. Harrison was very critical. He was there for when it mattered, and he always had praise for LeBeau and Cower, but he just wasn't a fan. He didn't like the isms. He thought they were fake, and that's, one of the best players that the team had, in its prime. And I think he knew it right away. And to Mac's point, Mac had the exact right point. Once Harbaugh was fired, he just looked at himself and said, uh-oh, because if he doesn't perform, he knew he was out. So it's interesting. Go ahead, Bill.
Well, and I think that loss 30-6 and to lose in that fashion was a blow. I mean, you could see it in his face when they showed him on the sidelines. He was fighting back tears. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. He was fighting back tears, and he was you could tell that there was something not sitting well with him, and I thought that a change was going to happen. I didn't think it was going to be the very next day. Normally they say when you have a big decision in life to make, they normally say, hey, if you're really sure of it, sleep on it for a day and then come back. And if you still feel the same way, then make that decision. He was just like, hey, I'm done. They met on that morning. And as you said, Ed, there was some, they were trying to lay out what the plan was for the offseason. He said, hey, let's stop you right there. I'm not coming back. And, the news broke at 2 p.m. I'm driving into the hockey game. And I'm driving in there and the fan comes on there and they say, hey, this is not a joke. Mike Tomlin has stepped down after 19 years. And I was traveling on 28 and I was like, wow, I'm, just about wrecked my car. I was just, wow, but, I like some people are saying, oh, this is, he was, the fans were hard on him and, this, to me, he is not a victim in this whole thing. It came to an end. Okay. The run came to an end. It had to come at some point. JT's chiming in. What's up, gentlemen? What's up, JT? I'm sure you're, sure you got a lot to say about the whole thing. He said a change of scenery was needed for both sides. I agree, JT. Totally agree with that.
Agree.
Yeah. But when you look at it, Tomlin won a Super Bowl and got to another in his first 4 seasons. He since has won 3 playoff games in 15 years, suffered 9 first-round exits, and lost 7 straight postseason games, including the last 5 by double-digit scores, and his winning percentage in the playoffs is sitting at .400. That's bad, guys. Most coaches would have gotten fired a long time ago for those type of numbers. They would have gotten fired a long time ago. People were like celebrating. I mean, you heard the fan. I was listening to fan. You heard all these people calling in, one guy said this is the greatest birthday gift he's had in a long time. Yeah, I get it. But, you're just to let you know, we're probably going to have some dark days ahead of us when it comes to the
Billy, let me interject right there. That's the thing that I think is going to be completely disingenuous from the national media. Because if they end up going under 500 next year, the national media is going to say, hey, Pittsburgh fans, you got what you wanted. You got rid of Tomlin, and now what you have. Which I think is completely disingenuous because he built the team in the exact wrong way. He's the one that recruited these players. He's the one that did all that crap. So it's on him. He left because he knew there was no winning season next year. Their schedule is very tough, and he screwed the team. And like we said in the conversation we had off air, where you said, it's going to take them quite a while to what he did, right? So that's the thing that I hope the national media isn't that stupid to say, oh, if you had Tomlin, BS, right?
Oh yeah, that's what I worry about too. That's a very good point, Ed. They end up going 5-12 next year or 6-11. You may hear that. The Steelers I think are going to do worse in the next few seasons. I don't right, Mac. You and I talked about this. You agree with that, right?
Absolutely, and tune in, fans. That's what should be happening.
Yeah,
that's not a bad thing. Okay,
correct. That's not a bad thing.
At some time, we have to rebuild. All teams rebuild.
Well,
this mediocre Pyrrhic victory that we proclaim on a 9-8, old school 8-8 records, and tipping over the scale and going 9-7 as this excessive win habit. It's a farce. You cannot. It's the old adage, and I borrow from Madden: if you finish middle, draft middle, stay middle. Right? You've heard it a million times. We've been in this for a decade.
Well,
this is middle living.
Yeah,
middle living.
I mean, I hate to take shots at the guy, but like I said, he won Super Bowl and got to another one in his first 4 seasons. Some of his greatest accomplishments, I hate to say this, and people are going to,
it's factual, Billy. It's factual.
People are going to hem me up on this, and I don't really care. But some of his greatest accomplishments were with Cowher's players and his lead is some of his coaches, and some of the culture, and the more further that Tomlin got from that, it became more evident that, he's just not that good of a coach. I mean,
it's also his inability to get his ego out of the way and not hire people that were quality coordinators.
Yeah.
I mean, he has 0 coaching tree, which is an indictment upon him.
Yeah. Steve Simmers, I've been smiling since 2 p.m. yesterday. I mean, I'm happy you're smiling, Steve. I'm happy you're happy. But like I said, don't be surprised if the next 2 seasons are pretty dark and you don't even sniff the playoffs. I mean, and I'm not. That's not a endorsement of Mike Tomlin and what he did at all in any shape or form. I'm just saying, dark days are ahead of us. I mean, period.
Well, you said it, Bill, earlier. You said in the first 4 years, right?
Yeah.
What they accomplished with, and it's not a secret. He did that with players that wasn't involved in making decisions on. So the first 4 years on his resume as a Steeler coach that's what elevated him to this iconic person that he's deemed across not only this city and the state, but the whole league. I watched ESPN for the last, I don't know how many hours. I was off today. I watched it over and over and over again from McAfee and from Get Up and from Stephen A. Blowmouth. Anyway, I heard everything. They declared him almost a disciple. He's close to Moses level.
Listen, they were just talking today. He did a lot in the community. He would go and do the turkey drives, and he requested no cameras there. He didn't want anybody to know. I mean, he was a decent guy, but I mean, the time was long overdue for him to hit the road. Yeah, and I mean, guys, the last losing season they had was back in 2003. That's when they went 6-10, and guess what? The very next season they drafted Ben Roethlisberger.
And the idea they also have just they need to blow it all up. Here are your home opponents next year. Home opponents, other than the 3 you normally play, right? You have Atlanta coming to town. They can run the heck out of the ball. Carolina runs the heck out of the ball. Denver runs the heck out of the ball. Houston Texans, we already know what they can do, and the Indianapolis Colts. That's your home. You got to go to Jacksonville, who run the ball very well. To New England, run the ball very well. To New Orleans, run the ball very well. To Philadelphia, who run the ball very well. To Tampa and to Tennessee. That is a tough schedule. It just is. With an aging defense, that's a tough schedule.
and we're going to get into who I think, who we all think that should be the next coach in the potential, potential candidates and all that. But here's the thing: all the next coach has to do is win a playoff game.
Right.
Right. That's all they have to do.
Right.
That's all they have to do, because Tomlin wasn't able to do that in 9 seasons. As crazy as that sounds. Yeah, as crazy as that sounds. Listen, I agree with you, Ed. The next coach, I think, definitely has to have an offensive mindset, especially in this day and age. You've got to have an offensive mindset. Somebody that understands the NFL, right? Somebody who's about scoring more and often, faster. There's a lot out there. Let's get into it a little bit later, but I'll just tease you. My front runner is Chris Shula. I mean, he's my front runner in the whole thing. I like him, and I think that would be a good. He's a young guy. I mean, they like hiring young guys, right? Cowher was 34. I believe Chuck Noll was 37 when he got hired.
He's on the defensive side of the ball, sure.
Yeah, I know that. I get that. I get that.
I think they have to go offensive. They just do. Their offense has suffered for so long. And honestly, you look at the contracts in which they can't, and the player personnel. I mean, Omar Khan, does he need to go? Maybe. I mean, look at the player personnel decisions they made with Tomlin's input. Never should have paid DK $142 million for what? Who knows? Watt. Had they listened to Dr. McCown, they would not have $42 million a year off the injured player. They wouldn't have him. Yeah. Because Dr. McCown said one contract ago, don't do it. He has precedence in his own family that it won't work. Yeah. Right? It's unbelievable.
DNA doesn't lie. It just doesn't.
It doesn't. You're right.
Yeah. Steve Simmer said we need to rebuild. And then we had another comment in there from Vern Hess, I guess, commenting to Steve. Steve Simmer's negative. They plan on hitting the ground winning like the last coaching change. A select core of good players already here, plus some brought in by the new head coach. Pittsburgh doesn't rebuild. We hit the ground running. They expect the title match within the next 5 years, max. Art did say today, and we'll get into some of the stuff he said in his press conference, but he said he wants to contend every year, or they expect to contend every year. Honestly,
I don't know why they expect that, because they haven't.
Well, I got to jump in. The last guy. Listen, if you expect to win with this roster, okay, I don't know who you think you're going to get to coach to have that roster win. One, we all think Aaron Rodgers is leaving. Okay,
well, he's definitely gone.
We think he's leaving for sure. Yeah. There's a 1% chance he stays. Right. I think that's.
He's already left. His contract expired.
I hear you. And I agree with you. Who's going to run this team? You don't have a quarterback. How are you going to win? You don't even got a guy in the stable. You don't even know if you got one.
Mac, I got a question for you. Could this team contend if they had Shanahan and Salah?
No.
That's the point right there.
Yeah.
No, and that's the best DC in the game.
Right. Yeah. And one of the best OCs in the game.
Well, yeah. I mean, how the roster is right now, you cannot compete at all. I mean, you can't you're not even, you're not even and Rodgers is done. I mean, he the whole reason he came was because of Tomlin. Tomlin stepped down. I don't see Rodgers coming back at all. I mean, he's going to retire.
Well, I see the fact he's a huge competitor, right? I can't believe he would want his last pass to be a pick six. Yeah. So maybe he doesn't come back to Pittsburgh. Maybe he's if his ego got out of the way, he could go anywhere and be a backup for another year or two.
Well, he could just wait and see if a quarterback goes down, and he could come in.
Like Flacco.
Yeah. So
he'd never be a backup, gentlemen.
I know, because it was
never be a backup.
No, he would never be a backup. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, he would be good. I mean,
he'll turn into a unicorn first.
And listen. Let's attack this for a second here. What do you think about? Let's take this from a non-Pittsburgh perspective. Okay, Do you think you're going to have a long-term coach again? Do you think you're going to have, I mean, they've had 3 coaches since 1969. When you look at this, Steelers coaching position, would you call it an attractive one? No. I mean, when you look at it, bad facilities. I mean, we already know that. I mean, they've been graded by players as having bad facilities, low budget for staffing is at an all-time low budget.
Yeah.
An expensive and aging defense. Okay. Right. No quarterback. There's not a lot there that's, and the big thing is in all caps, no quarterback part. I mean, that's the big one.
Well, also you look, they've had 3 coaches in 57 years, right? And that netted them 6 Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
Belichick did it in 18 years.
I mean,
he went to 9 in 18 years.
Well,
he got 6 in 18 years. So how many more would they have won had they jumped ship faster on coaches? That's the point. They think this is they love their streaks, which are idiotic, just completely idiotic. How many more would they have won? Arguably, when they played New England and the next year, they still had a Pro Bowler at 3 levels on offense, right? Probably at all levels. They had Pro Bowl center, they had a Pro Bowl quarterback, Pro Bowl running back, and a Pro Bowl wide receiver. He couldn't get anything out of him. That team should have had a run for how long, right? I mean, complementary parts. They just didn't do it. They just couldn't do it.
I mean, I'll give you an example. The Giants suck, right?
Oh, terrible.
But at least they got Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
I mean,
could have had.
Right.
Instead, they took some guy who didn't,
you got to start with that. And if you don't have one, well, let me go back to your question. Is this an attractive landing spot for a coach? Legacy, team-wise, sure. But player, players, you don't have them. You don't. It's not – it looks like a very difficult pathway to win.
We had a conversation with Harbaugh, places for him to go, right? Yeah, and he's looking at New York. It's the fastest way to the playoffs. The NFC East is easier, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's an appealing job. It's a rotten franchise, but it's an appealing job just because of Jackson Dart, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
I
mean, they're one of the most iconic.
Down in Atlanta is an organization that's you got B. John Robinson down there. You got a quarterback situation that you can develop. If someone's smart. The last guy decided to endorse the rookie, which is why he got fired. But if you handle that situation and develop that kid, maybe I know he's the bionic man. They put him back together after he fell off the wall, but there's a lot of people that believe in him, and Atlanta's somewhere you could pick too.
Yeah. Here's the other thing too. Who are they gonna hire? Anybody with head coaching experience? Last time they did that was in 1957 when they hired Buddy Parker. That was the last time that they hired anybody with previous NFL head coaching experience. Chuck Noll didn't have it. Mike Tomlin didn't have it. Bill Cowher didn't have it. Like I said, Buddy Parker was the last time that they. What can we expect here? What can we expect? Well, I tell you who they ought to go after. They ought to go, and I mean, I know they would never do this. But I tell you what, I'd go after Kevin Stefanski for the 2-time NFL Coach of the Year, offensive.
I think he's the best candidate, Bill.
Yeah,
he's the best candidate out there, in my opinion. He's a young guy. The guy can win. Like you said, he's already 2-time Coach of the Year. He's the best coach out on the market right now.
Absolutely.
He's the youngest guy with the most promise.
Right.
He's got the biggest upside.
And they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. He why he failed in Cleveland? Because the organization sucks. Okay? The ownership interferes with everything. That's why he failed in Cleveland. Okay? But they're not going to hire a former Browns boss. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but the most damning thing in our Ernie, the little bit that I listened to, he says that no one in the organization is suitable for a head coach. How damning is that, right? I mean, this is Tomlin's staff. You put not a single one of them is appropriate for the head coaching position. That's really bad.
Yeah, and I'm shocked by that because I'll tell you why I'm shocked by that, because I really thought that Arthur Smith may really get a legitimate crack. Fire Tomlin 08, he's finally gone. Hire Dan Lanning, head coach at Oregon.
Well, the only problem with and a lot of people keep looking to college. The only problem is that the professional teams are not, immune to the buyout. They'll have to do something.
Well, and I'm sorry.
It's $93 million.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, Kurt Signetti at Indiana. Those guys got better jobs. Okay, those are better jobs. Okay, I'm gonna tell you that right now.
And the Steelers, they have money right now. They have $63 million, but they only have 31 under contract, and you need 17 million, 15 to 17 for their draft picks, right? So that takes the number down, in the 40s. So it's going to be, you're looking at $45 million with only 31 under contract. You add a couple more with the rookies, but it's going to be tough. They have a lot of those contracts of DK Metcalf and TJ Watt hang on the neck of the Steelers like an albatross. They do.
I'm glad you brought it up, Ed, because I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but DK Metcalf caught 2 passes in the Texans game.
Yeah. 2. He had that drop.
They were really good. I don't know if you guys seen it.
We'll get into that. He had that drop. I mean, I mean, we're going to devote probably 75% of this show to talking Tomlin, and then we're going to cover the debacle from Monday night. But I mean, I really want to, this is big news. I mean, this doesn't happen that often in Pittsburgh sports. This is huge news, and we want to devote a lot of time to it.
So today, Dr. McCown and I were also early in the week discussing. Actually, I guess it was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday we were discussing the trade compensation that was given for certain coaches. I thought, and I swore by it, and I almost made a crucial mistake of betting Dr. McCown, because I always lose when I bet him. Is I thought they could only get a 2. And then I look back for the trade from the Raiders to the Buccaneers for John Gruden. 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s.
Number 2s, yeah.
That's insane. They got a Super Bowl out of it, but that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guarantee you they could have got some compensation for that guy.
Yeah.
Again, we can beat him to death, but he is held at this high level. There's a lot of teams that need a coach. And I guarantee we could have got some comp back for that.
Yeah.
Well,
Here's
2 years. He's not available free until the end of the 27 season.
Right. And I think he's going to do TV. I think I could see him. I could see him on Fox. But that would be very weird with him and Terry Bradshaw. I got to be honest with you. That would be very after what? Yeah, I don't think that's going to work. I mean, the last head coach they had on that team on that staff was no, they had Jimmy Johnson, but he just recently retired. But I mean, that would be great. But Ed, I don't know. I mean,
I see him on one of the streaming services, because other streaming services are going to jump up to get NFL games. That's where I see him. I don't see him on Fox. I don't even see him on CBS because they already have a Steeler coach. Maybe Peacock wants him, NBC maybe, but he's more likely to go to either a Prime, a Netflix. If Netflix decides to have a studio show before the game, that's where Tomlin will go, because they have oodles of cash.
Right. I'm going to say I want to make a couple points here. You guys just bounce back and forth with this whole thing, but one thing I think that they need to do, and this is organization wide, I think they need to give more power to the GM this time around. Okay, Tomlin had the final say in a lot of things, and I think I think if Art can look back at everything that has happened and learn from anything, it's that you should not give your head coach this much power. Okay, you should delegate power. You should restore power to the GM regarding personnel. Okay, regarding personnel decisions. Let's face it. My thing, in my biggest mistake or blemish that I see with Mike Tomlin was 100% drafting Kenny Pickett. I mean that set the Steelers back, in my opinion, 5 years. By doing that, I thought that was his biggest mistake. I really did. What do you guys think about Omar Khan? At this point in time, I think they need a better GM. I don't know that he meets I don't know that he cuts the mustard.
I think it's just the fact that they haven't hit on draft picks in a long while. It's been a couple years. We know the instances of the second contract. They've given none except to T.J. Watt. They're not drafting well. They're just not. Fautanu is not very good. Broderick Jones is god awful. You had a running back that didn't go anywhere. You had linebackers, defensive backs. You had quarterbacks, not with a team. It's just they need somebody who understands talent. Maybe you give Omar Khan job one more year because he doesn't have Tomlin chirping at him. Maybe he does a better job. But you're right, Billy. I mean, he does not have much time the way the drafts have gone. I mean, look at the draft. Peyton Wilson can't get on the field, right? You look at all the other folks they have out there. JPJ, the most penalties ever created by God and man.
Yeah, but he did better this year. He did a lot better this year, and he played a lot. He played a lot better this year. I'll give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, because they're playing in the zone. They didn't go man to man. He still has the most penalties. Let me look it up for DBs again, because he's too handsy.
I don't know about that.
I'll tell you.
Look it up. But
moving, sir.
Like I said, I think his biggest mistake, looking back, was drafting Kenny Pickett, and that was 100% on Tomlin. Hey, he inherited Ben Roethlisberger, but he mangled that quarterback position. He did not do it any justice, in some of his decisions that he made.
I mean, we could say, what we think he did, but in reference to the GM that's going to remain, is he going to remain, and are they going to search? Because I don't think they're going to replace him. Yeah. I really don't. I haven't heard a whisper of that. I don't know if you two have.
No, I haven't heard anything yet on that either. I like Ed's point. Maybe give the power back to him and see what he can do with it. Maybe now that you don't have Tomlin there, maybe this guy can actually manage a team and be, all he really was good at, in my opinion. Now, he didn't have much of a say in a lot of things, but I mean, he was a good cap guy. That was all he was good at doing. He was a good at Fangle, and I mean, even that was kind of shoddy in some cases.
I always push back on that because all it is pushing money down the way. That's all it is. There's nothing superior about somebody.
It's still a job. It's still a job.
Right, but it's not like magic. They're not like nobody's come up with anything innovative in the cap. All they're doing, every single team, that from the best to the worst, is just kicking the can down the road because that's the way the NFL cap is designed.
Right. Well, I mean, it's still,
I think Omar Khan did make some moves. I mean, in the draft itself, that's a whole different discussion. The job has several aspects to it. But, in terms of acquisition, over the last couple of years, I think they tried to make moves on things. Now, I know the wide receiver is going to get, highlighted that we couldn't pull the trigger and bring a wide receiver into town to help, whether it was Metcalf or, the last 2 or 3 or 4 years to help whoever we wanted to call number one or number two. I know that's been a problem, but, I think Tomlin did have a thumb on a lot of it.
Why is it a problem? They know where freaking wide receivers are. There's plenty out there. They could have had Christian Kirk who torched them. We did it for the last 3 years. I don't disagree
with you. We talked about this till the cows come home.
Well, there was a lot of wideouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was year after year, we would see all these available wide receivers. Oh, they could take this guy. Oh, they could take this guy. And they all fall off the board every year. It's just like, oh, no, he's gone. Oh, no, he's gone. No, he's gone. Oh, well, I mean, it just was like this all the time. They didn't do anything to replace George Pickens. They did nothing to replace Deontay Johnson. I mean, they did nothing. Deontay Johnson, you got rid of him. You had absolutely no plan. Absolutely no plan whatsoever. Yeah.
Well, again, they're defensive minded, and that's geared from Tomlin. You know what I mean? He wanted to make his, dare I say it, historic defense for 2025.
Yeah.
He got it.
Okay, let me just say one other point here. I want to just say another blemish that I saw with Mike Tomlin over the years was having no coaching tree. Okay. He did not employ assistant coaches who had equal or greater football knowledge than him and were willing to challenge him. He never surrounded himself with anybody that, like I said, had any equal or greater football knowledge that had the potential of challenging. Hey, that's what you want if you're a leader. You want good leaders around you to challenge you and make you better and for the good of the group. You know, when you look at it, I mean, really, he chased Dick LeBeau out, Bruce Arians as well, really. You know, and you know, he hired these guys who were just kind of like your subpar, your Terrell Austins, you know. I mean, Danny Smith. I mean, you know, there's just, you know, these guys are just not what you call, you know, brain trust of football. You know, they're just not. No coaching tree whatsoever. 19 years, guys. 19 years as a head coach, and you have no coaching tree. I mean, that speaks volumes to me. I mean, that just speaks volumes to me. No one at all. I don't think I've ever seen that. And I've, you know, I've studied NFL football and football in general for a number of years. I don't think I've ever seen a coach that long, almost 2 decades, and not have any tree to speak of. It's just, I don't understand that. I don't even know how that's possible.
Yeah.
Well, I know how that's possible. You surround yourself by people that are not as smart as you are, or you think are not as smart as you are.
So back to this draft thing and how Tomlin drafts. And I say that because I think he's the one that did it. We all talk about how Tomlin won with Cowher's guys. Think about the guys they drafted: Roethlisberger, Hines Ward, Heath Miller, Max Starks, Brett Kiesel, Aaron Smith, Casey Hampton, Larry Foote. I mean, Polamalu. You had Lamar Woodley. I mean, he won with those guys. And we drafted those guys. Yeah. We drafted those guys.
Right.
Yeah. And a trade for the bus. That draft day trade for the bus. I mean, they just had it was just a better.
They almost got Eddie George on that. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Did you guys know that? Yeah.
I heard the rumors. Hold on, Lord. Yeah. I mean, those are all factual. They just are. You know, they're not. And look, the year they took every player they took the year they started, every player was injured. Every player was 23 years old or older, and every one of them had an injury history. You know, and the only one really that's panning out from that year is Peyton Wilson. At least he gets on the field. Fautani was a freaking turnstile. He's not as bad as Broderick, but I mean,
they were bad Monday night. They were terrible Monday night. Terrible. Yeah, they were terrible. Let me ask you guys. I want to pose a question for you guys. You know, with Tomlin's departure, one would think this would be accompanied by pushing some of these veterans out the door. Who do you think should go, and why at this juncture?
Well, they had a golden opportunity to get rid of the guaranteed money for DK Metcalf, and they didn't choose it. Tomlin said he deserves a second chance. So right there, he screwed the team. Right, they could have gotten rid of that guaranteed money and traded him. He needs to go. He's a one-trick pony. He's a head case. You know, and you throw him a bubble screen, really, and you're just hoping that he breaks tackles. He definitely needs to go. But some of the other ones, it's hard to get out of. You know, I don't think Benton does anything. I don't think, you know.
You trade Watt? I mean, his contract runs through 2028.
You can't. Only the bad teams have that kind of cap space. He's $42 million hit on the cap.
Yeah, $41 million. Yeah,
42. This year he's 42. I mean, Detroit would love to have him. I guarantee you they'd love to have him.
Yeah, he's got an AA value of 41.
But that's what I would have done with Watt. You know, I preached for years they should have gone to both Watt and what's his name, 97, and they should have said, "You guys have been great. Where do you want to go?" Right? Imagine Hayward going to Buffalo. Buffalo would have given a third round, you know, for Hayward midseason. Why not? They're desperate for defensive tackles, and he gets a shot at the Super Bowl.
You guys think Hayward retires?
I tell you what, I think he could. I think he will too, Mac. I think from what I've heard, he's not this
He's
this
37.
this whole thing isn't sitting well with some of the guys. But you know what, Mike Tomlin, he chose this. It wasn't like Art fired him. He chose this, and these guys I think knew he was more than likely going to step down. I don't think that you don't. Do you think he? That's another question. Do you think he went to some of these guys? Do you think he went to Aaron Rodgers saying, "Hey, listen, probably not going to be back next year"? You think he went to Cam Hayward and said, "Hey, probably gonna been talking to the wife, been talking to." Probably gonna step aside.
I don't think he did any of that, Bill. I think he went into that with an open mind because he's been going into this with an open mind for the last decade, hoping that he was going to just pass over another day. And what happened was, I think he got the same treatment that Harbaugh got. The only difference is Harbaugh chose to go a different route to say, no, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. And he told him to get out.
I like what Steve Biscotti said. They asked if Luke makes that kick, would he
Biscotti's a cookie.
Okay, whatever. Biscotti, whatever. You know what, Ed? I'm glad we got you back on the show to correct me and correct my Pittsburghese, my Yinzer. I'm glad I got you back on the show to do that. I really missed that for the month and a half you were gone. I really missed that. How many words did I say incorrectly? You should go back. That's your homework assignment. Go back and look at all the words that I effed up.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
Steve Biscotti. No. Listen, no, that wasn't my point.
Yeah.
Steve Biscotti said, "What would Harbaugh? If Luke makes that kick, you still fire Harbaugh." He said he would lasted one more week. So I mean, that was,
sure. No doubt.
Which in turn means that he didn't think. Obviously, if he would have made that kick, he didn't think that they were going to be able to beat Houston by saying he would have lasted one more week.
No.
Yeah.
Houston's defense is just it's a Super Bowl defense. But they're in an era where that doesn't matter because you have to still score points. The offense has such advantages that, I think they're going to I think they're going to score. I just don't know if they can score enough to beat New England, Yeah. But getting back to Tomlin, I mean, it's kind of damning on his team because the players he continually chooses aren't good.
Yeah.
So what does that say to a team? First of all, he's going to want control like Belichick did. That's why Belichick can't get a job, right? He wants all this control. He's not going to get it. Their teams are going to see that he can't even pick talent on the coaching staff.
I'll tell you what, he will never, ever, ever find another job like he had with the Steelers, where he had full autonomy. No, he will never find that. He will never find that anywhere. There will never be anywhere that will give him the reins like that for that amount of time. Never, ever. It's just not going to happen.
And talking to LeBron, their French native from another place, he said that the job in Pittsburgh is attractive because you really can't get fired, and it's kind of like fake it till you make it. And then 5 years later, they realize, we hired this guy as a coach, so you have that aspect, but they have to go offensive. They just have to. It's the day and age of the offense. You have to have more balance on both sides because you can see it. Cincinnati's got a fantastic offense, but their defense is crap, right? And the Steelers are the reverse. None of those teams are going to succeed.
Well, they could go offense, Ed. They could go real close with offense.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Bill. Tell him who that OC is.
Well, no, I mean, Mac and I were talking last night at the Penguin game. We're like, he could, I said I could see this organization going the easy way and just interviewing Arthur Smith and saying, "Hey, you got the job."
He's not getting an interview. He already said in the press conference today.
Oh, I know that. I
know that. I hear that.
Yeah, I know that. That was yesterday, Ed. We said that. Remember, I said we were talking about the Penguin game yesterday.
Still not good. Arthur Smith sucks. He hit lightning in a bottle.
I agree, he sucks. But I mean, if you're
lightning in a bottle with a King Henry as a youth,
I agree. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that at all.
Let me ask.
I'm just saying that would be the Steeler way of doing things.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Now let me ask this: if they did what they should do, okay, and they rebuild like they should do, what would be the harm in giving the job to a guy like Artie Smith for the rebuild? Who cares? Who cares? If you're going to rebuild.
Right, but you're going to have to do a dance again.
What's that?
You're going to have to do a dance again because they're not going to have enough players to be competitive.
But you're not going to attract a quality head coach with this situation.
No, you're going to have to do what Bill said earlier. You're going to get somebody who has no head coaching experience whatsoever and who's hungry. And they're going to be – don't forget the Steelers don't spend money. They're cheap. So they're going to look for a younger guy because it's going to be cheap. They're going to look in the $6 to $8 million range as opposed to the $14 to $17 million range. 14 to 17 gets you an excellent coach. It just does. 6 to 8 gets you an up-and-comer.
I hear you. An excellent coach ain't coming here.
I agree. Totally agree.
I
talent isn't there.
Yeah. I mean, I like Minter. I even like Flores. I like Shula. I don't know those guys. I mean, Chris Shula. Really. I know that. But I mean, that's, I wouldn't be surprised. That's the Steeler way. I wouldn't be. They're not gonna. They're not gonna adhere to the norms of the NFL. That hey, you got to get an offensive guy. I just don't think they're gonna do it. They're just. I don't know. They've got that facade that, Real quick, I want to touch on this. Rodgers. We touched a little bit earlier in the show. Obviously Rodgers came to Tomlin's defense. I think Rodgers is done. I think he's going to retire. When you look at it, people said, he didn't want to go out like that. Well, he went out. He went out with a winning season. I mean, which is more than what he got with 2 years with the Jets.
Winning record. Stop with the season shit. It's a winning record. Their season was crap.
Winning record. Okay. Yeah. But
winning season means they make it and they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Okay. Well, winning record is what I meant to say. But I mean, I think he's done. I think he's going to retire. I don't see him coming back. What do you guys think?
I mean, in terms of a whole season, I don't think he necessarily had a bad year stat-wise. I don't think he did either. Okay. No. I mean, he still kept that touchdown interception ratio. I know that's my stat. I don't care. I think it's the most valuable stat you can have as a quarterback. He still looked okay at that. He threw for a meager, 3,400 yards, ballpark. He did have winning record, okay? But, to go out like that, and Ed brought it up early, when you got a Hall of Fame guy like that, we're not talking, a top 30, 40, 50 guy. This is a top 5 all-time guy. Does he want to go out fumbling the football, having them return it for 6, and then throwing a pick 6, like almost back-to-back, that's his last 2 memory. His last 2 memories. If there's something to bring him back, I think Ed hit it on the point. That's the only thing that I could see bringing him back is having that chip on his shoulder. And we all know he got one. Yeah. I don't think he does, but that's the only thing that would bring him back.
Hey,
and who wants to bring him back, by the
way? Yeah. I mean, here's your top 10 of the Steelers pay wise, right? You got and I'm on Sport Track if anybody wants to follow on Sport Track or Spot Track, SPOTRAC. So you got Watt with a cap hit next year of $42 million. Number 1, DK Metcalf cap hit of $31 million. You got Alex Highsmith cap hit of $20 million. You have Hayward 19.1 next year. Ramsey 17.2. Queen 17.1. Freiermuth 11.2. Jonnu Smith 10.8. Who has 2 tight ends on the roster making more than $10 million in this day and age? Nobody. Isaiah Likely doesn't make that much, and Andrews is there as well. They don't even make that much, right? And then you have Warren at $7 million, and you have Malik Harrison, who I don't know if he was active or what, but he's at $6.7 million, 6.7.
He was active. Number 50.
He didn't do anything though. I mean, nothing.
I mean, he had some nice tackles. He's a pretty hard hitter. He's not he doesn't really blow much up your skirt, so to speak.
No, and the youngest, I forgot to do ages. The youngest one is Queen at 27, and all the other ones are late 20s, early 30s, and late 30s.
Yeah. Getting back to Tomlin real quick. I know we're bouncing. We're bouncing. We're just zigzagging around. But anyway, I don't really want to talk about this much anymore because it's old hat. But this whole losing season, this really became. It was just when you look at it, it was just a meaningless achievement. I mean, just an absolute meaningless achievement that really just kept Tomlin in a job here. Really, I mean, after a while, it was just so worn out and boring. And did anybody ever sit and think? And I know I know everybody thought and thank this. Or, I can't even speak anymore. I'm so tongue tied. Okay, I know people had thought this, but how about the notion of playing games that freaking matter? How about that? How about the notion of doing that? These meaningless. I mean, what does this whole thing? It just.
And you're right. It consumed him. It became his mantra.
That was it. That was it. That was all that you could hang your hat on.
Right.
How about we play some games that matter? How about we win a playoff game? How about we?
That's the thing, Bill. He did play some games that matter. 7 of them in a row, and he lost 7 of them.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying this whole thing just became just so cliched and boring, and it was just you got to the point where you were so tired of it. Yeah. You're like, you know what? If it means that we get to an AFC championship, how about 3 losing seasons in a row? How about we? You know what I mean? Like I just got so like when we were 6-10 back in 2003, and I remember that. I mean, that was a bad year. I was like, the better things are going to come, and better things did come. We got Ben Roethlisberger, but I just.
Problem is, those drafts are so hard to predict. You had Manning, Roethlisberger, and Rivers. Those are 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. You don't get those hardly at all. Because of the way the NFL is. And it almost started with Roethlisberger because those two they had so much. Rivers didn't play that first year, but those two had such success when they played that it kind of poisoned the quarterback maturation process.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing. Tomlin was very underachieving with talent. I mean, when you look at it, you had at one point in time, you had the killer bees.
Yes.
You had Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, a period that had, these guys, and you had no Super Bowl appearances with these guys. Nothing. Yep. You didn't do jack, with this. I mean, this was just. Overall playoff record of 8-12, with 3 of those victories coming after the 2010 season, I may add. Losing 7 consecutive postseason games, getting blown out. Not winning a playoff game since 2016. Right. Back in 2016, I was living in St. Louis for crying out loud. I mean, that was a long time ago. It's just I don't know. I'm not going to say I thought Tomlin was
really to your point. As much as they focused on that stupid streak, they focused on the same stupid streak with coaches. Who cares? He had 3 coaches. How many more Super Bowls could you win without 3 of those? Without those coaches.
Right.
You never know. It's speculation.
Yeah. I'm not going to, some people have said, have some people in this town have called Mike Tomlin a fraud. And I'm not going to say he was a fraud, but damn, huh?
He was a good coach.
He was a good coach, I think, but that was it. He was not a great coach. He at times was a good coach. But there's just no, I mean, I don't know.
I agree with you totally.
And I mean, I thought it was the time for the end just by the ass kicking that we got Monday night. Let's get into that a little bit. I mean, that was just that we don't have much time left, but that was just a. I don't even know what to say about that. That was just a. Do you want to get into it? I mean, do you want to just move on to
the way to get into it? Really, is just no innovation on offense. Like Dr. Mack said off air, the defense played well, but they just couldn't keep holding up after the miserable offense. They did nothing different on offense. They stayed with the same bubble screens. I would have changed. I would have given Gainwell the ball more than Warren. I just would have. Well, he would have been my feature back.
Stroud was hell bent on giving us this game.
Oh my God, 4 fumbles, 2 picks.
Yeah, he handed it to you on a platter. I mean, you're averaging 3 yards a rush. It's the same story all the time. You can't even get 4 yards a carry in these games. You can't get 4 yards. Most teams are getting 5 yards that are successful in these playoffs.
I know.
We can't get 4. We got 60 yards on the ground, boys.
60.
60.
Yeah, it was
I mean, the scoop and score didn't help. The 50-yard pick six by Kalen Bullock didn't help either. Nope. But it was bad. I mean, it was really bad. I mean, like I said, you hit it on the head. I mean, Stroud gave it to us on a silver platter. He was begging for us to take this game.
Try.
I mean, he tried so many times, and we just would not take it.
And I hit it every week. I've said it since I've been on here. Once again, Pat Freiermuth got one ball.
Jeez.
One ball.
How much longer does he want to be here?
I don't know. He's the best receiver on the team.
But I would go in just like Slapshot, and I'd say, trade me right now.
Yeah. And they don't throw him the frickin' ball.
Hang up.
And then hang up. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. And like I said, people are jumping for joy. They've been smiling and they're happy, and there's a lot to be happy about it. We finally got, but I mean, it's not going to come with a price, unfortunately.
Correct.
It's not going to come with a price, unfortunately.
And I'm telling you, the national media is going to be all over it saying, "Oh, look, you can see what you got." Blah 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 blah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. They will be doing that.
Well, they were doing it already this morning. Foxworth and Dominique Foxworth and Mike and already talking about how next year they're going to lose. They're going to lose way more than they lost in the last 5, and everyone will get what they want.
And I just don't know how you can. I don't know how you can say that with a straight face. I literally don't know how you can say that with a straight face.
Well,
having not won a playoff game since 2016, and with some of the teams that you've had, I don't know how you could go on national and on national television and say that with a straight face and think that people are gonna. I just don't understand that. That's called delusional, folks. That's what that's called, delusions of grandeur is what that is.
Again, we're tied with Marvin Lewis now.
Yeah. 7 straight seasons.
7 straight playoff losses.
Yeah. But he has the 5 losses at 21 or more all to himself. All to himself. He can take that.
And I'm going to say another thing. Tomlin had an inability to beat lesser teams too. That was another thing that he had. He just, he had a tendency. Teams over the years had a tendency to play down to these subpar opponents
every year, Billy. All 19
every
seasons.
year, and it would lead to all these frustrating losses. And this was every year, and everybody tried. Nobody wants to bring that up. It seems like they don't want to bring that up. Oh, he never had a losing season.
Hey, on a positive note, Mason Rudolph was 1 for 1.
He was on that quick pass with that killer stat.
I mean, he might be our guy next year.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. I honest to God don't. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And you sprinkle in Howard, who I don't think is good, but everyone wants to see Howard.
Penguins fell last night to the Lightning in a shootout. They got the Flyers tomorrow night. We'll see how that goes. They've got to get it together here. They're up and down. They're up and down. They go on a win streak. They go on a lose streak. They go on a win streak. They go on a lose streak. So I don't know. They need to get more consistent. But I don't know, guys. I think we pretty much beat a dead horse here on this. I don't know. I mean, there's next week. I think we could even extend the segment a little bit and talk. We'll have Trace back. Hopefully, I don't know what the hell happened to him. He had some technical difficulties tonight. I don't know whether he got I don't know what happened, but probably next week I mean, if you want to, we can further dive into the Tomlin legacy or lack thereof, if you want to.
And I think there'll be a lot more that's going to come out.
Yeah.
With this and the crazy coaching carousel is going to probably morph. It's going to get crazy.
Yeah. Let's next week, folks. We're gonna dive more into the potential candidates for this vacant head coaching job. We want to get, and then it'll probably be better because this will be a week, removed from what happened, and maybe maybe you have a little bit more clarity on some of these potential candidates. So we're going to get into that next week, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Tomorrow night, they're doing Gridiron Weekly without me. So Ed and John will be joining you. I will not be there. I'm working the Penguin game, so I'll be doing that tomorrow night. But looks like we don't have too many Thursdays on the schedule for home games. So we'll be back. I'll be back with you guys. But you guys are going to go on, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot to talk about tomorrow with NFL playoffs and everything like that, and everything that's going on, and plus the national championship being played on Monday. So tune into that, folks. That's going to be 8 p.m. On all the platforms that you're watching right now. So
Billy,
all right,
Billy,
yeah.
Do me a favor. Send your picks.
Okay, I will do that.
Yep,
I will do that. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you next week.